bowling alleys getting frustrated about still being closed to this day during the pandemic. They believe they can safely reopen. And joining us to talk about how they believe they can do that is Bo Gergen. He is the executive director of the Bowling Centers Association of Michigan, with us now on the Oakland County Megacast. Bo, thank you for being with us today.
Thanks for having me.
How are you? How is everybody at the association doing?
We're frustrated. We want the administration to listen to our plea, our cause. We spent yesterday at the Capitol doing a rally. Had about 300 folks there from all around the state. A very peaceful rally, trying to educate the administration who we are as an industry and why we can open up safely.
So, Bo, previously we had salon owners, we had salon and other personal service owners that had congregated together to create a plan for safe reopening and sent that to the governor's office. They had plans for how they could reopen and operate safely under the COVID-19 guidelines. Similarly with the bowling alleys in our state, what would they be doing in this case to reopen and do so safely for the public while allowing these businesses to operate after being down since March?
Well, we've done the same thing. Back in April, we had our association task force put a preparedness plan together with protocols on all the necessary things that following CDC and OSHA guidelines, from sanitation to temperature checks at the door. An average bowling center size in the state of Michigan is 24 lanes and encompasses about 30,000 square feet. So we feel we've already eliminated the social distancing issue with all the other industries that are open that are much smaller in space. So with all the PPE products that are out there, all of our operators have purchased those in understanding that we would be open by now. And we were good citizens when this all started. And now June 15th came around and our fall season starts September 1. And here we are, August 13th, still haven't heard from the administration of the reasons why we're closed and have a dialogue to discuss what we need to do to be open in their eyes.
So, Bo, this is Ronnie. I would imagine that a lot of the owners and operators of the bowling alleys are getting pretty nervous because that savings has to be running dry and they have to probably be pretty close to the risk of closing. I know you guys filed a lawsuit. Talk a little bit about the lawsuit and what you hope to get out of that.
Well, the lawsuit was our last desperation. Again, being shut down for 5 months, no one in their right mind would have imagined anything like that happening, particularly our proprietors throughout the state. So we felt we've had no other alternative at this point than to file a lawsuit. We feel that the 5th and 14th Amendments have violated our opportunity to operate our business in due process. We're hoping that we'd never get to court if we can sit down with the administration and go over our preparedness plan. We feel it's very safe. Now, I want to remind everybody listening that bowling has been going on in 45 states, some since May. And not in one state or one bowling center in those 45 states have we had one super spreader incident with COVID-19. So how are these other 45 states doing this? And the 5 states that are still closed haven't even had an opportunity to show that we can provide a safe environment, not only for our employees, but for our customers.
We've seen other industries go the lawsuit route as well, the gyms as well as the theaters. And so far, the judge has not overturned the the governor's executive order, and they're still closed. Does that discourage you?
It's not. I don't have a ton of confidence that we'll win based on what's gone on before. But I think since the fitness centers and the theaters have lost their cases, we have a little bit more ammunition due to a couple more EOs that have come across that don't make any sense. Now, casinos are open and bowling centers aren't. Is it the touch points that we're talking about, since we've pretty much handled the social distancing? We pretty much handled all the safety protocols with plexiglass at each station, disinfecting wipes throughout the bowling center, hand sanitizer throughout the bowling center. We can sanitize the shoes, the balls, the keypads that people may use. We can separate groups on the lanes. Mask is mandatory. So now with mask mandatory and they work and social distancing works, what other reason? And the only thing I can come up with is touch points. And I make this presentation. Our house balls and house shoes seem to be the element that of concern. What's the difference between those and a shopping cart and a basket at a grocery store?
Bo Gergen with us. He is the executive director of the Bowling Centers Association of Michigan, who has currently filed a lawsuit against the state in order to allow bowling alleys to reopen. And you mentioned that your fall season begins on September 1. For those that maybe aren't familiar or don't think about it from this angle, it's not just those everyday patrons like Ronnie and I that come in to bowl a frame or a few games through that are bringing the profits to these bowling alleys. A lot of times it's also league play as well.
Yeah, I would say that the bowling league customer base is anywhere from 60 to 90% of a bowling center's operations. So there are now some family entertainment centers that still have bowling leagues, that still have leagues, but they're focused a little bit more for the open plate consumer with the games and the other ancillary products that they provide. But your traditional bowling center in small town America, especially, that's 80 to 90% of their revenue. So if we can't get those guys on the lanes in a timely fashion, and remember in Michigan, we have over 120,000 league bowlers. We're the largest state in the union with number of bowling centers, number of league bowlers, and definitely the most number of high school bowlers in the country are here in Michigan. And right now, for the last 5 months, none of them have had an opportunity to participate. So they've been traveling to Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, and Wisconsin to get their games in. So they're leaving in groves. And now some of those bowling centers that are closer to the border are losing those league bowlers on a permanent basis because they want to start bowling. And so all we're asking is for the administration to sit down with us, go over our preparedness plan. And if there's an issue here, let's start the negotiation. We don't want to go to court, but we feel we have no other alternative.
So to this point, I know you said you reached out to the governor's team. Still no response? Have they sat down with anyone in your industry?
Zero. Nothing.
So that has to be pretty frustrating. How much longer do you think some of these bowling alleys can actually hang on?
Some of them that are been hanging on for a while, they're going to be gone in the next 2 weeks, with no idea that we can start come September 1. So the rally yesterday was intended to be a little bit sooner, but we didn't have enough time to prepare and make sure that we had a very organized and peaceful rally to explain we want to take the politics out of it. We want to be able to focus on all the things that we can do to provide a safe environment for our customer base. And again, bowling's been running successfully in 45 different states. Just our neighboring states, no issues. I've been to tournaments in Indiana and Ohio. My son is going to be bowling in Indiana this weekend, and we're following all the protocols. We have our mask on. We're keeping social distance. We're not high-fiving. We're doing air fives or fist pumps or elbows, all those things that are being recommended. And everyone in the other states have been doing a wonderful job. We just haven't even had an opportunity. So the most frustrating part is the fact that how is it that the administration feels comfortable in doing this, not only to our industry, the fitness centers, the movie theaters, without even having a conversation?
Bo Gergen with us, the executive director of the Bowling Centers Association of Michigan. And Bo, we've seen in some instances, even locally in our immediate area here in the town that we operate our flagship stations out of, we've seen some operations such as gyms and earlier on in the pandemic, hair salons that defied the governor's orders because they were down for so long and were about to lose their business and reopened despite the governor's orders. Do you imagine that that's a step that could be taken by some of these bowling alleys and bowling centers in the future if they're approaching the point of no return and need to bring in some business?
Absolutely. I definitely foresee that. And I would say in the next 14 days, if we don't get any response from the administration in any way, shape, or form, I expect up to a couple hundred bowling centers opening up on September 1, because what difference if they take their liquor license or food license, they're going to be shut down anyway. And so this is because the banks aren't giving us the property taxes were paid last week with no income coming in. SBA loans, they're asking for their money. So all the PPP money is gone. If this next stimulus package, if it ever comes, can help the small businesses, maybe we can last another month or two. But there hasn't been nearly enough support from the state in keeping us shut down and staying afloat. It's as if they don't really care, and that's the messaging that we're getting. I had an opportunity 2 weeks ago to sit in front of a joint select committee on the Capitol with a COVID-19 committee overseeing the administration and how they're handling all these different industries. And their biggest concern is the fact that it's widely known that the administration is not communicating with these industries that are still shut down. And that's all they're asking as a committee. It's an oversight committee. Administration, just please communicate with these guys and start a dialogue. And I did about 7 interviews yesterday, and I saw them online, and I saw a response from, I'm assuming it was the health department person involved in the administration, saying that it's the science and data that's providing the information of why we're shut down. All I'm asking is, what science are you using? There's not been one single case, a positive case of COVID-19 in any of our bowling centers in Michigan. We haven't been open. What's the data that says that? There's no data in any bowling center in the United States where there's been an issue. So I just don't understand where they're getting their information and saying that they're using science and data, yet not providing the science and data. That's the most frustrating part.
I know a lot of the bowling alleys also have some type of bar or restaurant. Are any of them open for that type of service just to try to get a little bit of income in the doors?
Yes, quite a few of them have done that, but I'll go even one step further, how frustrating that is even for those folks. And it sounds like both of you guys have bowled before, and if you were to go into their little restaurant areas, some are just snack bars. A lot of them just have an open air to the concourse of the bowling center. So with 50% occupancy in their restaurant side, they've asked, well, maybe I can utilize some of the tables that are social distancing 6 foot apart out on my concourse and feed more people to help try to get some more income. And we had the Wayne County Health Department tell them absolutely not. The bowling center needs to be closed. And we're thinking, nobody's throwing a bowling ball down the lane. Why can't they sit 6 feet social distancing in an area and eat their food to help drive even a little bit more income? So again, the messaging is all over the place. None of it makes sense. And again, we're still confused what it is about rolling a bowling ball down the lane that creates the virus to attack everybody.
Bo Gergen with us. He is the executive director of the Bowling Centers Association of Michigan, with us on the Oakland County Megacast. So, Bo, you have the rally at the Capitol yesterday. Your organizations began a lawsuit process against the state in order to be able to reopen. What is next, as we are getting that much closer to that 2-week period you mentioned earlier about being critical mass for some of these businesses, and that September 1st deadline, September 1st beginning of the fall season?
We have our proprietors are working hard talking to their state legislators and trying to get the right connection of somebody who can get the governor's ear. So we're really digging in deep and trying to find that connection to where anybody, please talk to us. Give us an understanding of what's going on. And again, I think in 14 days, if we don't hear any response, I foresee a large portion of those operators opening up. Now, even if we were to sit down with the administration, and here's our concern, and we come to an agreement of whatever restrictions are in place, let's just say it's 50% occupancy. A lot of us can operate at 50% occupancy. 25%, no one can operate at 25% and still be able to pay their bills. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, we can operate at 50% occupancy. Our challenge still has to be consumer confidence. There's a lot of people out there that are listening to all this fear mongering on mainstream media, and they don't want to go to these facilities because they just don't know the uncertainty of what's going on. And so we're going to have a challenge with up to 30, maybe 40% of our customer base may not feel comfortable, may want to take the year off until there's a vaccine or until next year. And that may not be enough for us to continue to move forward anyway. So this has been very devastating, being shut down for 5 total months without having one day of opportunity to open up and start creating some momentum. So that's still a challenge, but I expect come September 1, if we haven't heard anything, we have to open up and let the chips fall where they may.
So, Bo, one last question here is, if the community wants to support your effort, where can they get some information? Do you have a Facebook page going to kind of direct them to how they can help you?
There are some Facebook campaigns that are going. Open Michigan, Open Bowling Centers in Michigan Facebook page has already 10,000 likes on it. We've got a form builder that's out there that goes directly to the governor's email address to support opening our centers. So we're looking for all the support we can get from not only our bowling community, but from our legislators, and we're getting a lot of a lot of support from both sides of the aisle. But the governor's not listening to the legislature right now, and so as much as they want to support us, we still have to find that key person in the administration that's a bowler, that understands what bowling centers are, and just sits down and says, all right, let's take a look at their plan. Yeah, this looks like it's something that could work, or maybe if we change this, anything, any conversation whatsoever, we'd be much appreciated of that.
Bo, anything else for us today before we let you go?
I thank you guys for the opportunity to share our message, and a lot of TV stations and newspapers have picked this up in the last week, obviously, since the lawsuit was put out there. We're real confident with our lawyer on what's going on right now. So, but you know, as you stated earlier, no one's won yet against the governor. She's got some amazing powers with her authority. So that's a very uphill challenge. But we're going to keep fighting our fight. The bowling community is an amazing community. It's like an extended family. So if either of you have never bowled in a league, that's one thing that you want to do, is go down to your local bowling center during a league night, and you'll see that people sign up for 33 weeks of the season. And so you get to see these people once a week for 34 weeks, and you get to know who their kids are and what they do for a living and the networking opportunities and so forth. So that's what's amazing about the bowling scenario, is the extended family.
Well, Bo, we thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you.